Thanks for staying with TVC News and well now. The White House has denied an accusation from rights groups that it flouted due process by defying a judge's order to carry out deportations at the weekend. A group of 238 alleged Venezuelan gang members and 23 alleged members of the international MS-13 gang were sent from the U.S. to a prison in El Salvador. Some were removed from the country under a law not invoked since World War II. The move came despite a temporary restraining order issued by a judge. The White House says the judge's order was not lawful and was issued after the group was deported. Neither the U.S. government nor El Salvador has identified the detainees or provided details of their alleged criminality or gang membership. President Trump accused the gang of, quote, perpetrating, attempting, and threatening an invasion or predatory incursion against the territory of the United States. For an analysis of this court ruling and the flouting on the deportation restriction order, I'm being joined via Zoom by Andrew Thomas, who is a licensed immigration attorney in the state of Massachusetts in the U.S. Good to have you join us on Well Now. Now, the White House has refuted claims that it actually flouted a judge's order to carry out deportations at the weekend. Where does this leave the deportees?
Thank you very much for having me. I really wonder how the explanation would fly, because about noon Eastern time, they have to explain to the judge in writing why they did not obey that order. The facts of the case is that the judge issued an order that whether the flight is in the air or is still on the ground, nobody should be deported. Flight data records show that when the verbal order was issued around 6:48 p.m. Eastern time, 2 flights were already in the air and 1 flight was still on ground. 7:26 or thereabout, when the order was posted online, the 3rd flight had not taken off. In fact, the 2 flights were still over the Gulf of Mexico, or Gulf of America, as the Trump administration will call it. So I'm hard-pressed to see how they'll be able to explain it away that they did not flout the judge's order. So we're waiting to see how they would explain it in writing and see what the judge would do.
Now, what options are available to the deportees and, the rights activists who are advocating on their behalf?
Could you please repeat that? I didn't hear that.
I'm asking about what options are available for and to these deportees and, the activists who are actually speaking up on their behalf.
I think the options available to those who are still undocumented is the fact that all attorneys of good conscience would challenge the Trump migration of American immigration. And what does that mean? It means the Trump administration has actively sidestepped the Constitution, sidestepped valid laws enacted by Congress, and disobeyed orders, not just one order. Other orders have been disobeyed that have been issued by federal courts who have jurisdiction to hear matters of federal immigration. So as it is, the 238 people already deported to El Salvador may not have recourse. But for those who are still here, there's recourse, because attorneys and the association I belong to are vigorously challenging the sidestepping of due process in trying to remove people who are not documented in the United States. If you're not documented, you're supposed to have your day in court to tell the judge why you should remain in the United States. And the administration enacting or trying to issue an executive order that is supposed to serve purposes of wartime is also disturbing, but that is also being challenged in court.
But Mr. Thomas,
and we'll see how that plays out.
All right, Mr. Thomas, what would due process mean in this case?
It means if you go to court and you feel your rights are being trampled upon, if the judge believes that might be the case, more probable than not, the judge will say, everybody do not take any step till I'm able to verify if this person's rights are truly going to be affected by the actions or inactions the other party wants to take. And everybody doesn't challenge the administration's right to remove people who are undocumented. The main bone of contention is follow due process. If you want to remove people, get valid court orders, removal orders, follow due process in apprehending them. Because even if you show up at the door of somebody who has been issued a removal order, you need a warrant allowing you to go into that premises to remove that person. As it were, the Trump administration wants to sidestep because they want to ramp up the numbers of those they can remove as part of the campaign promises that was made to Americans before the elections on November 4th last year.
Okay, as we wrap up the conversation, let's talk about the Alien Enemies Act, which is a piece of legislation dating to 1798, and it's under which some of these deportations were actually carried out. Should it in this 21st century be practicable?
Well, laws are valid as long as it has not been set aside by Congress or the Supreme Court. The law is valid, but the problem is for you to use the Alien Enemies Act to remove people, you must show that the actions of a government has a direct link to why you are removing people. The two bases that the executive order was issued was because of two gang organizations, Tren de Aragua and MS-13. There is no direct link that the governments of El Salvador or the government of Venezuela has any links with MS-13 or Tren de Agua. So it remains for the Trump administration to show a competent court that removing people who are undocumented have a direct link with state involvement in those two countries, because that is the basis how you can use this law to remove people with little or no due process. It means it allows you to remove people from the United States without allowing them to have their day in court. And if they applied for asylum, there's really no need to screen them. Just grab them and send them back to where they are coming from. That is the problem, the manner in which people are being grabbed and sent back. Undocumented people who are not gang members may get swept up. That's the concern.
All right. Licensed immigration attorney Andrew Thomas, thank you very much for your perspective on World Now.
Thank you very much.